When the World Show arranged an interview with Rob Jones, he suggested that we meet at his nursery in Cheshire. From Liverpool and England full-back to successful childcare provider is quite a contrast. But when injury curtails a successful playing career, as it did for Rob in 1999, big changes are inevitable.
I don't think it's sunk in for a bit. Even when I come home, I think my wife thought I would be a lot more upset, but I think day after day, then you realise, and then week after week, it does hit you. Obviously it was nice, obviously word got round, and quite a lot of the players were ringing, saying they were sorry and all that, and I think that's when it started hitting you, thinking, yeah, I'm not going to be playing with any of these players again.
It was back in 1991 that Rob Jones's life was transformed while playing for Crewe Alexandra in the old 4th Division. Liverpool's then manager, Graham Souness, and the club's chief scout were at Cresty Road to watch Crewe's other full-back at the time. But it was Jones who really impressed them during the match.
Graham always said to me that even though I was playing left-back, I went over to the right-hand side and I whipped the ball over with my right foot, and Crewe scored off it, and then obviously took his eye from there, and then they came to watch another game after that, and literally took a chance, I think, and bought me straight after.
It's a straightforward trip from Crewe to Liverpool. Just head north on the M6, then west along the M62. But for Jones, in football terms, the distance was massive. Liverpool's 18th and to date last league title, claimed in 1990, was still fresh in the memory. Back then, Manchester United had been crowned champions just 7 times. It was the Reds of Merseyside who were undisputed kings of England. And Jones, a fan since childhood, was now being shown around Anfield by Graham Souness. Starting with the changing rooms.
Again, just an unbelievable feeling. As you can imagine, I was very nervous. I'd never actually I've been to Anfield loads of times, but never actually, even though my granddad had played for Liverpool, never actually come into the change rooms before. So, yeah, it was a big thing. And then he took me into one of the other rooms next door, and we had a little chat and signed the papers, which, as you can imagine, was pretty easy to do. And took it from there, really. Then we jumped in the car, and he took me to Melwood and showed me around there.
6 months previously, Jones had been standing in the Kop. Suddenly, he had a chance to play in front of one of the world's most famous terraces. Within days of signing, he'd made an impressive debut at Manchester United, marking Ryan Giggs no less. From the very beginning, he looked as though he belonged in the top flight. As a Liverpool manager, Souness isn't remembered with too much fondness by the fans, but his signing of Jones was an unqualified success.
I was talking to Steve McManaman and McAteer a couple of weeks ago, and we said we've been watching a bit of this LFC TV and watching how some of the games that we played in, and we played some great football. And when I look back, I do think we were stronger than we thought, and I think with maybe that bit of extra confidence, maybe we could have won the Premier League.
Each and every season, Liverpool Football Club is expected to challenge for the title. Inside the modest changing room, you can almost feel the deep sense of history that permeates Anfield. You need players ready to shoulder that weight of expectation.
I used to sit over there, obviously, number 2 is there, and Mark Wright used to be not far from me. He used to cheer us up. But you had some big characters in the change rooms, John Barnes, Ian Rush, Dean Saunders, Steve Nicol, all big Liverpool experienced players. So, they all said their little bit. And but after that era, you had, like your Neil Ruddocks and your Robbie Fowlers. So, the change room obviously changes all the time. But there's definitely been a few legends in here in my time as well.
Alas for Jones, his time was cut short by injury. The first major problem had been a stress fracture of a vertebrae in 1996 that caused a 6-month layoff. When that was finally treated successfully, his left knee began to show signs of what was later diagnosed as patellar tendinitis, the same condition which in recent years has afflicted Manchester United's Owen Hargreaves. By the late 90s, whenever Jones played or even trained extensively, his knee would swell and leave him in agony.
The manager used to say, you're limping when you're playing. I was like, I know, but I felt like I had to go through the pain barrier, thinking that, you know, it's just going to get itself better, and it just never ever did. And I ended up having, I think it was about 5 operations in the end. And on the last operation, you know, the surgeon just said to me, you know, it's just getting worse and worse. It's tearing away. So you know, there's no hope for you. You know, you're going to have to retire. And obviously, that was the bad news.
So what do you do when the only thing you really know how to do is taken away at 27? As Jones acknowledges, you can have all the money you want, but you can't escape boredom. Fortunately for him, his wife proved to be the inspiration behind a whole new career.
She'd always been interested in, you know, children's nurseries and care, and we just talked about it one day, and she said, you know, what about, you know, let's get off our backsides and let's do something else. You know, we've got to forget about football now. You know, we've got a family here to keep. You know, let's try and open one. So she went to college for 6 months just to learn a little bit more about it. I went round Warrington, Stockton Heath, looking for properties. We found one, we opened one, and it took off.
Rob and his wife Sue now operate several nurseries and care homes in Cheshire. Business is booming, and their centres have been given glowing reviews by inspectors. Rob leaves the day-to-day management of the nurseries to Sue, though he takes a keen interest in the business and can even check on the nurseries remotely.
Our original reason for installing CCTV cameras into the nursery was primarily for staff training and development. However, we realised from our own personal experience, dropping our own children in nursery, they cry when they don't want to leave their parents. And I used to leave work and I'd be absolutely devastated for the rest of the day. However, nursery would reassure me that they don't cry for longer than a few minutes. So we realised that every parent has the same issues, and we would sit them here, we'd have a coffee, we would watch the camera, and they'd see for themselves that after initial sort of couple of tears, it's over and the children are happy playing, when the parents are usually going to work feeling full of guilt and traumatised. So it has worked for parents' benefit, and it's been a real success, and we're really happy with it.
And despite the injuries, Jones can look back on his playing career with happiness too. From 4th Division hopeful to top-flight success story with his boyhood club, he took his chance and made the most of it. The Premier League title may have eluded his generation of Liverpool stars, but he has no regrets as to how it all worked out.
Luck of the draw, I got signed for Liverpool, which, you know, was unbelievable. And then I had an unbelievable experience here. It was like 8 or 9 years. Enjoyed, I say, every minute of it, but obviously the injuries put me down a little bit. But, you know, you cope with them, and as you said, you know, got a FA Cup winners medal, a couple of little trophies, and played for England as well. So I think at the end of the day, you know, I've got to be quite happy. Finish my career early, but then just get on with it. And as I was saying earlier to you about moving on away from football and you know, opening nursery schools and care homes.